I'm Derek Wheatley, and welcome to episode 165 of the Weekly podcast. Thank you very much for listening to me last week. Sometimes I like to put in those little solo episodes just to like a catch up and a little stopgap for me as well. Because there's a certain amount of anxiety talking to people that you don't know, and it's nice just to waffle on for like 50 minutes into a microphone sometimes. I also want to say that you can support us, buy me a coffee thing. It's in there's a link in the subscription somewhere. You will find it. Never feel obliged. Our guest this week is a positive advocate for a sober life, and her name is Sophie Gardner. How are you doing, Sophie?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you very much for coming on. It's typically Irish weather out there today. I don't know how it is over with you.
Spring's meant to be coming, but it's grey.
Spring is, it's I don't know. It's been a very long winter. I don't know if people say that every year or not, but it seems this year in particular is quite a long one.
It does feel like it, but the lighter days are coming.
Yeah, and that's always helps people, particularly people who maybe, well, people who thrive on that kind of thing. I think that a lot of people have, their mental health can suffer in the dark, nights and darker mornings and stuff. So I think that's always like nice for people to see those stretch in the evening and stuff like that. Sophie, we always start at the beginning. Could you give us a short history of your upbringing, please?
Yeah, of course. So I grew up in a little village in the south of England. I went to the local village school and then the local secondary school and on to Bristol UWE for university. But my upbringing was like, quote unquote, standard. 3 brothers, parents still together, all got quite a nice relationship with each other. I would say, struggled at school. But now on reflection can see that, like I definitely did in the moment as well, but really did struggle at school, primary and secondary, with bullying, feeling weird, been diagnosed with ADHD last year. So that makes a lot of sense for a lot of my upbringing now. But fairly standard upbringing, I would say. Nothing too traumatic. Lots of, we call little T trauma.
Yeah.
Like I say, with like bullying and things like that. But my upbringing was pretty normal.
It's one of those things I've noticed recently, and it's brilliant to see that people are being diagnosed with, not that it's brilliant, but that looking back, and maybe they didn't quite understand who they were then and why they were, the way they were, how they reacted to things, and like being diagnosed with something. What was it that led you to get, kind of find a diagnosis?
I'm probably autistic as well. I mean, then I had the test for both, but they said that ADHD is so prevalent that they can't diagnose me with autism, but they also can't not diagnose me. I have traits, but it's the ADHD that's there. So my little boy is autistic, and we got his diagnosis, or we started to look into it a couple of years ago, and I resonated with a lot of the symptoms. So I started taking the online tests, and things were coming out 50-50 autistic, 90% ADHD. And I was like, ADHD? What? So I Googled it and looking up ADHD in women and the symptoms. And I was like, this is me. Oh my God. It suddenly just like all my whole life just made sense. So I've had numerous, I guess, mental health struggles over the years. And always thought, oh, okay, it's because I've got depression. Oh, okay, it's because I've been diagnosed with anxiety disorder. Oh, okay, I've got PTSD, whatever it is. But now actually it all forms under this nice little umbrella of ADHD. So it, for me, made a lot of sense. But yeah, my son being diagnosed led me down the diagnosis route as well. And it's been, transformational, I'd say.
Oh yeah, and we had someone on, it was only a few episodes ago that was recently diagnosed as autistic, because it was similar to you. It was that their son was diagnosed as autistic, and they wondered if the similar traits were because of that, and it led down that route. And I guess it's something quite I don't know if it's something liberating for you to realize that.
And like we're going to talk about today, getting sober. I've been sober for nearly 4 years now, and I realized, oh my God, my brain is so loud. Like I was drowning it out before with alcohol. So I just thought it was a bit chaotic, but actually my brain is so loud. It doesn't stop talking all the time. There's always a song in my head on replay. There's always someone talking to me in my head. And I resonated so much with like the ADHD Instagram accounts, and it was a long time coming, I think. But getting sober was probably pivotal to me discovering it too.
The film that won the Oscar recently, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I listened to a podcast, and the 2 directors were interviewed
Oh.
And one of the directors said that the reason the film is the way it is because he is ADHD.
Oh.
And now I found that out after I watched the film. So I want to go back now and see, what he was talking about, because to me it was just there was so much information being thrown at you. It was like literally the title suggests, but the idea of that was the reason he wrote it, and he wanted people to see maybe some part of his mind and some aspect of his mind to see. And that's amazing what artists can do with
Yeah.
these things. And I think it's like important for us, for people who may not suffer with ADHD or may not have been diagnosed with autism and stuff, to see that from the perspective of an artist, that they can put it on screen or put it in a book. I think that's
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
definitely. And it's like your brain or life. Well, your brain is on fast forward times 10 all the time.
Yeah, that's what the film.
On the outside, you might just be staring into space, but inside, it's going.
It's that's what the film felt like at times. But so could you tell us, Sophie, then, when you first became aware of mental health?
Yeah, sure. So you always hear like about mental health and things like that, but I guess first for me personally, back in 2013, I had a panic attack, and I had stupidly no idea what a panic attack was. In my head, it was, people breathing into paper bags and whatever, like can't breathe and things. And that is what happened to me. But I didn't know that that's what it was at the time. So I was driving in my car. I stopped at some traffic lights. I can see it now. It's at a crossroads in Bristol. Red traffic lights came on, and had this overwhelming urge to get the hell out of the car. And something was really wrong with my body. My heart was pounding out of my chest. I couldn't see. I felt really sweaty and hot. And I thought I was going to die, to be honest. And then after that, it was happening all the time, especially at traffic lights, especially in the car. If I would be on the motorway and be in the fast lane and get this overwhelming urge, I need to get out of the car, something's going wrong. It was horrible, because then I'd be scared to go on the motorway and then scared to stop at traffic lights, and it just builds up. Or it would happen at really inconvenient times, like at work. I'd be sitting at my desk at work and get it again. I'm going to have a heart attack at the desk and have to walk away. But I didn't know it was a panic attack. I genuinely thought I have got a brain tumor, because I kept getting these head I couldn't see. So I thought I either have a brain tumor or I was going to have a heart attack soon, or a stroke. I thought something must be going wrong, that I'm going to die soon, and that's what's happening. It got so bad that I eventually moved home. So I left Bristol and moved back home, and my parents made me go see the doctor. And when I walked in and I said to her, so basically I keep thinking I'm going to die soon, I'm going to have a heart attack, my heart's pounding out my chest and I can't breathe, I can't see. And she was so kind and lovely. And she said to me, have you ever heard of panic disorder or panic attacks? And I was like, no. What, a panic attack where you breathe into a brown paper bag? And she was like, no, they are lots of the symptoms you're describing. And I said, yeah, tightness in my chest and shaking and all this stuff. And she said, lots of the symptoms you're describing is panic attack. And I felt very relieved that there was a name for it, that it wasn't a heart attack or a brain tumor, and I wasn't going to die. But also, like, where's this come from? Why have I got this? And she referred me. And back then in 2013, so 10 years ago now, God, it was much easier to get face-to-face time on the NHS. So I was seen within sort of 6 weeks, face-to-face, with a CBT specialist. And I saw her for 3 months, and it changed my life. Because I learned about my behaviors and my reactions to those behaviors, and to kind of how to manage them and keep things under control. And then after that, I very rarely have had a panic attack since. But that's when I first, really long answer there, but that's when I first became aware of mental health, and that actually, oh my God, physical symptoms happen because of what's going on in my brain.
Yeah, no, the panic attack thing is certainly something that I've experienced, and I can kind of echo the idea now. It's obviously it's the HSC over here. So when I went in, it took a little while to see someone, but I went to CBT as well, and it was it was incredible. The best therapy I've had, and I've had other times since then and before then and stuff. But that was, like you said, it's kind of give you a look inside your brain and why you are, getting these panic attacks, which are terrifying. So we're going to talk. You mentioned you've been sober for only 4 years. Like, what was your relationship to drink before you decided to get sober?
Very unhealthy. So, I mean, people call themselves different things: alcoholic, addict, problem drinker, grey area drinker. I don't think labels are helpful, just being completely honest with you. So I would never say I was quote unquote alcoholic or an addict, but I definitely had a very unhealthy relationship with alcohol, in that I used it to quash any feelings. So social anxiety, any event that was coming up, I would drink before it, and drink a lot before it. And then that leads to you just getting used to it for everything. So every emotion, if I celebrating any form of good news, we must drink. Oh, that was a rubbish day, I must have a drink. Like everything I could, I would use alcohol and incorporate it into the day or the activity or the holiday or whatever it was. There was always a reason to drink. So it was problematic for sure, my relationship with alcohol before I got sober.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it, really, because, you know, labels are something that I guess I've been asked about since, because there's always people will say to you, you know, if it comes up that I don't drink or I'm in a setting where, you know, I don't
Are you
drink.
an alcoholic? That's what
Yeah, and it's like, it's either one or two. It's either they ask you, did you ever drink?
Yeah.
Or are you an alcoholic? Because it was like, there's no middle ground possible. And like we were just talking before we start recording, I was heavily kind of dependent on it and using it as a kind of unknowingly using it to get rid of anxiety and to kind of stave off some kind of depression that I was feeling at the time. And it was kind of, I said to you before, but like I went cold turkey. So it might be the best way. How did you go about giving it up?
Yeah, so I think I came to the conclusion that I needed to just try and not have it in my life for a while. As in, every time I was drinking, something would go wrong, out of control, throwing up, blacking out, being nasty. Just something was always a drama after I drank. So I just thought, right, I'm going to have a little break. I didn't actually think I needed to be sober. I couldn't imagine, you know, going cold turkey or, you know, living without it forever. But I thought I'll just have a little break for now. So I had a little break. It was 6 weeks. And then I went on holiday and I thought I won't drink on holiday. And of course I drank on holiday, moderated. So assumed I could moderate now. Came home, got blackout drunk straight away, and was back to partying again. And then it got to, go back to those 6 weeks, please, where I'd given up. So I had 4-month break. And again, thought after 4 months, right, I've got this, let's moderate again. And then really proved in those 6 weeks that I could not moderate at all. And my last day one, we call it in sobriety, or, you know, was April the 22nd, 2019. I said, no more. This is crazy. It's got to stop. I'm never going to not be able to get blackout drunk. It doesn't happen every time, but 8 times out of 10 is too many times.
Yeah, like, and like, I suppose the term might make sense, made sense to some people, that idea of blackout drunk, because the idea, like, I don't know how many times I drank to blackout stage. There was a couple of times definitely where I kind of, you know, but there's something particularly frightening about waking up to that, you know, blackout stage. And, you know, whether you're in your bedroom or not, or wherever you end up, it's a terrifying kind of moment, really.
You've drank so much that your brain, the part of your brain that makes the short-term memories, doesn't work. So you will never remember what you did in that moment. And our body takes 1 hour to process and get rid of 1 unit of alcohol. And you think there's 3 or 4 in a drink sometimes. And I'm drinking 3 or 4 drinks in an hour sometimes, especially if I've just got to the night out or whatever. I might drink my bottle of Prosecco in an hour. And there's like, I don't know, 8 units in that or something. So my body straight away is just shutting down everything. So yeah, absolutely terrifying. So people always think as well, a blackout might mean, oh, they passed out. No, it's completely different. You're fully functional in a blackout. You are walking, talking, making decisions, but you just don't have any idea what you're doing, and you won't remember the next day. And that is terrifying.
It is very terrifying. But like, can I ask then, like, because I used to have, when I was still drinking, I used to have these days where I thought, right, today I'm not going to. And because as we gradually go through the day, I start to think, well, maybe I will. Until this became a daily occurrence of almost fighting with myself to not drink, but then thinking, well, you know, the easiest way is to do it is just go, you know, get a drink.
It's so hard because we wake up hungover, we wake up feeling a bit groggy, a bit shit. We don't necessarily think it's the alcohol. We're just like tired and life's hard and whatever, but actually it's the alcohol. And you think, right, I'm not drinking tonight because I've got this headache and I feel shit. The day goes on and it's coming up to 5 p.m, 6 p.m. Or a beer would be nice, or a wine would be nice. You've forgotten how you felt in the morning because our brains do that. We forget negative emotions quicker than we do the positive ones. So it's called fading effect bias. It's so interesting. So we kind of forget. And then our brain is doing that thing that it's done for 10, 15 years, that 6 p.m. is drink time. So off we go to the fridge. And sometimes it gets to the point where you're just drinking it and you're like, why am I drinking this? Yeah. It's habit. It's like riding a bike. Your brain knows how to ride a bike because you've taught it to. And over the years, what started off as drinking for fun, drinking for social aspects, then drinking because you felt pissed off, then drinking because you felt sad. Brain is learning all the time. Oh, okay, this is what we do when we feel like this. And it's got to that habit of the 6 p.m. rolls around. Let's go and open the fridge and have a beer. And your brain is just doing what it thinks it needs to do. And it takes some willpower and some real white knuckling in the beginning to train it to get new habits, but you can do it.
Absolutely. And so then when did you decide to start the page Sober and Happy?
I was looking up sober Instagram accounts for some like inspiration when I was in my blackout drinking phase in between the 4 months sober and the last day one. And I thought, I'll start a page when I know it's coming. I knew it was coming, the sober, like I knew I was going to do it again and I knew it had to be forever because I was just out of control. So on like day 10, I think it was, I was deciding to go to AA. I didn't know what else to do. So I was like, I'll go to AA and I'll start my page. And I think I posted on there, like, I'm going to my first AA meeting tonight, help, like what to expect. And people straight away message you. It's amazing. And I went to AA and I would always encourage everyone to try it. Maybe I should have gone to more meetings. I always say that, but that particular one, lovely people, so welcoming. But I just got the sense of, life shit with or without the booze, so we may as well just not drink. And I just knew, because I'd had that 4 months sober before, life is not shit without booze. It's really, really, really good. I'll throw myself into my Instagram and see what happens and just share my journey with the world. Didn't tell any of my friends or anything about this page or anything, but told strangers because I feel like it's easier, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then slowly, yeah, the benefits rolled in. My friends started to find out, and I can't go back now. I'm in competition with myself. I'm 4 years sober. I can't drink now. I'll let everyone down.
Yeah, but like I wonder, is that sometimes good, that little bit of a push? Because maybe speaking, for myself now, that if I decided I was doing this podcast, for instance, talking about mental health and stuff, and didn't tell my friends, and just decided, well, this is what I'm going to do. And then I decided, 30 episodes in, I'm like, I'm a bit sick of it and all that. But I keep in my head, well, people listen to it and they rely on it. So, I think it's okay to say that, like, that other people rely on you to do it. So I'm going to stick with it.
And I set it up for me to keep me accountable. And within a year, I had a few thousand followers. And I was like, whoa. And people were really engaging with it. And then they started asking me for advice and I started getting DMs about it. And I loved helping people. Still to this day, if someone DMs me, I will reply to you. Like, I really hope I've replied to everyone who's ever DM'd me. And if I haven't, I'm sorry, but I do genuinely reply to everyone if I can, because I know what it feels like to feel lonely and think, shit, is this my only option, not drinking anymore? And it is scary at first, but it's also really great once you push through. But yeah, so eventually now I'm just in this place where I can't let my followers down, and I don't want to. I cannot imagine going on there and going, guys, I drank last night. Oh no, like back to day one. Just no way. And that's good for me, like you say.
I think what's great about the page as well, and that it's busy, that it's not, you know what I mean. You're constantly posting kind of encouraging words, but also kind of educational stuff, and that's hugely important. It's one thing to kind of for some people who are struggling to kind of just say, well, I'll just give it up and see how it goes, but to be able to access someone like yourself to read about, you direct someone towards articles and stuff, to be able to read about that stuff is just as important as the actual just saying I'm going to give up.
Even if you're not ready to give up, I just always encourage everyone to learn about what alcohol actually does to you, because we're sold a lie through the government and adverts and marketing. It is poisonous. It does hurt and affect every area of your body, mental health, but physically as well. You have to drink it, so it has to hit every area of your, digestive tract, and every organ is affected by the alcohol, especially the poor liver and the stomach. Your stomach lining gets, ripped away every time you drink. So I always, even if you're not ready to give up, that's absolutely fine, but you're here, you're learning, you're on my page, great, good for you. Look at what it does to you. And at the same time, it's really great too. So here's all the positive stuff. And, because it can feel lonely, it can feel depressing when you first think, this is going to be my life now. You think you're going to be no fun ever again. But that's a lie. It's not true. So that's what my page is there to show you as well.
You'd also have a women's group, support group. How did that come about?
Again, proper ADHD moment. In September last year, I had a 6-month break off Instagram, and I came back in September, and I thought, I've got to do something bigger with this now, because I'm just doing the same thing, regurgitating content and talking to people in my DMs. Love that. But then they disappear and I don't hear back from them. I don't know how they've got on with their journey. So I know I'll set up a group for Sober October, and we'll do it all together, and I'll set some tasks that help me in early sobriety, and I'll go live in the group every week and encourage them, and we'll just do Sober October together. It'll be £1 a day, so £31 for the month, but you'll do Sober October if you listen to the lives and you do the work. I think I had like 30 people up for it, and 2 weeks in, I just loved it so much. It felt like this is my calling, is to help people. And yeah, 2 weeks in, I said, do you want me to keep this going past October? And they said, yeah, please. So I kept it going while I figured out like costs and what I was going to do and how things would go. November was free for everyone who was in there from October. And it's £15 a month. You can join anytime, and you can leave any time and cancel anytime. But I go live once a week on a different topic to do with drinking. So like a couple of weeks ago, it was drinking and trauma. Gone live on like the pink cloud, anxiety, drinking and the digestive system, drinking and your brain, drinking and sleep. I research all the topics, go live once a week, and then also hold a weekly group Zoom for anyone for like 45 minutes on a Sunday. You can come in, you can check in, how's it going, what's triggering you, what's been a success, all that kind of stuff. And I had a couple of men in there at the beginning. They left because it felt women's only, and actually then that's what I wanted it to be, because we can talk about the menopause and periods and sex, and there's no like man watching.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, that just snowballed out of a little dream. I thought, yeah, let's do Sober October. It's kept going, and I'm so proud of it. I think there's 55 members now.
I think it's that's what I mean about, one thing is the Instagram and stuff like that, where you do feel connected with people, especially if you've spoken through DMs. But to have like a group of support, something that I guess there was certain things around when I was giving up, but it was a long time ago now, so it's 2009, and it's not the same. But to be able to have someone like yourself who because it's the group chat is great. I mean, the Zoom and the Sunday and stuff, but to be able to read articles, because I think our education around alcohol is very poor, and like you mentioned, the government aren't going to help us with it really, because it's not in their best interest really, and it's not in other people's best interest. But and for someone like me, even Sophie, to kind of figure out like, where do I go? The fact that there's a group there to say, well, Sophie will probably looked after that already, so I can go find it. I think that's very encouraging.
Yeah, exactly. I always, like I say, and they can request topics as well. If they want me to go live on something, tell me, and I'll go research it, and I'll do a 40-minute live on it, and hopefully you learn and feel encouraged along the way. And the feedback's great. But same on my Instagram, I don't people can DM me and ask me questions and things as well, and I'll always, like I say, always reply. But it's something I wish I'd had when I got sober 4 years ago. I was in free groups, which were great, but some of them had like 20,000 people in there or 30,000 people in there, and I just thought, oh my god, like where's my message going, and like who's going to see it and who's watching. Didn't always feel as safe maybe, but still needed them at the time and absolutely did utilize them. And books as well. I read a lot of Quit Lit, which made me feel less alone. But I thought this would be something I would have loved when I got sober, just only women, and just able to be like, guys, help, I want to drink tonight. And then everyone jumps in and it's like, don't do it, I'm at day 80 and it's amazing, or I'm at day 30. And it's stopped people drinking. And that is like, if I help one person, then my job's done. And hopefully I'm helping them more than one.
Yeah, for sure. So were you someone who was confident? Because obviously to do something like this, there has to be a little bit of confidence involved, because you're speaking in front of people and stuff. Were you someone that was confident beforehand, or was this learned later?
This is a really interesting question, actually, because my friend said to me the other day, how did your live go? You're so brave doing them. And I said, am I? But actually, it's because I love it and I'm passionate about it. And again, maybe I am autistic and this is my special interest, so I'm happy to talk about it. Like to you right now, anyone listening might be like, wow, she's really confident. But I'm not sometimes. And at school and things, if I had to present or if I had to talk out loud in the class, I was a wreck. And I could get really worked up about stuff like that the night before or the day of, and be a complete crumbling mess. But I think because I love this and I know how good alcohol-free life is, and I know how good sobriety feels, I'm more than happy to hammer it home to anyone and talk about it all day long. By day, I am a recruiter, so I'm always talking to people about their careers, what they want, and asking questions and probing and things. So I guess, again, like I can put different masks on to do that. So whether it's confidence or I don't know what, but yeah, I guess I am confident when it comes to sobriety, but actually I'm quite introverted and I like my downtime and I like to be left alone as well.
I'm very much the same, but I think it's a mixture of confidence and passion, because I can tell when, we can all tell when someone's passionate about a subject as well. There was something really interesting you posted up the other day, and it was to do with this, I guess, the cultural, I'm obviously from Ireland, you're from England, and there's a cultural drinking, aspect to our countries, and the social aspect of quitting drinking, because I think a lot of people worry about that they may lose their friends or whoever it might be.
Yeah, people get given a really hard time from friends and family when they say, I'm going to give up the booze. Oh, don't be so stupid. You're not that bad. You're really fun. Da, da, da. But people they're projecting themselves onto you because they don't want to lose their drinking buddy. They don't want to lose the person who entertains them on the night out and buys all their drinks. But deep down, like I always say to people, who you don't have to go into the weeds of it with your best friends, but you could just say, I'm really struggling with my mental health right now. I'm going to have a break from alcohol. Please, can we not drink at the brunch next weekend? Or I'm not going to drink at the brunch next weekend. Please don't encourage me to, because I'm really trying to have a break. And a real true friend will not encourage you to do that. And I was very lucky. My best friends really were like, good for you, mate, go for it, and probably a little relieved as well, because I was always the one who was like the instigator and or the mess on the night out, causing trouble. So my real friends were, but other friends that I thought were friends, like work colleagues and things, oh, what the hell, what are you, an alcoholic or something? Or why are you giving up? Don't be so stupid. And that you have to just be really strong in your resolve and know that you are doing this for you and no one else. We are inherently people pleasers, big drinkers, because we are the entertainers and we feel like it's our responsibility. So many people say, oh, sorry, I'm not drinking at the moment. What are you sorry about?
Yeah.
Like, nothing to be sorry about, but it's just so ingrained in our culture and so socially accepted to get blackout drunk and binge drink that, people can have really horrible reactions at first. You just have to remove yourself from it and think, this is about them, not me. I'm doing this for me.
I had the experience. It was slightly different because of the like I said, I had a breakdown like a few days after I gave up alcohol, and I kind of lost that group of friends that I'd been spending a lot of time with, because we were just spending time in the pub as friends. There was no we never like met up outside of the pub. It was just that was where we met up, and that was it. And we meet up in people's houses and drink some cans and stuff like that, but it wasn't like
party friends.
Yeah, party friends. And like when I kind of came out of myself then again after some therapy and stuff like that, it wouldn't have suited. I'd still, obviously, if I saw them, I'd still chat with them and all that, but it just wouldn't have suited where I was kind of going with it. And I wouldn't have been able to kind of start going into pubs and that. When I go back into pubs now, though, and it's kind of on special occasions, Christmas parties and stuff at work, I don't find it difficult anymore to kind of sit with people. Some other people were drinking. How did you find it to begin with, to sit around people who were drinking?
Yeah, sure. So my last day one, like 4 weeks after it, I had a hen do in Valencia for my best friend that I had organised because I was a bridesmaid. And I told myself, oh God, if I drink on this, then I will just drink again. So I have to get through this. So it is really hard socialising and going to the pub in the beginning. If you feel confident enough to do it, I would say go for it and try, but make sure you have your car keys with you and get out if you feel triggered. Just say, I've got to go, sorry, or something. Just get out if you're feeling triggered. Your sobriety comes first. But with sober socializing at first, just remember, that's what I would say to everyone, it's in your head more, the problem is in your head more than the actual event. Like it won't be that awful when you're there because you can just leave. The first hour is always the worst. That first bit when you arrive and everyone's getting their first drink and you feel like a bit pissed off and a bit of a loser for not being able to drink too, although luckily there's lots of alcohol-free alternatives. Yes. But when you first get there, that can feel really hard. But the minute they get to drink 2 or 3, I'm suddenly smug as fuck, thinking you guys are going to feel like shit later. I'm going home soon to get a McDonald's and a cup of tea. have a great night all. And I still went and socialized. I saw my mates. They're all going to be fucking hanging tomorrow. And I'm happy as anything, waking up in my own bed, safe and, all good. So if people can push past, like I say, that first hour, that is really difficult and really triggering. Don't press the fuck it button. Just stay with it. And remember, the first hour's the worst. The first hour's the worst. And then if it doesn't improve, get out, leave. But you should soon realize, oh no, I'm glad I'm not drinking right now. I'm go home. Safe.
Yeah, I always had this in mind of when I go out that 11 o'clock is the time when I'm going to leave. And I'm sure you've heard of what an Irish goodbye is. Essentially, you just don't tell anyone and you just leave.
Let's go.
Yeah. And that's like my best friends and my, the people who I hang around the most with in my workplace, they know that 11 o'clock I'm gone because it's funny. So because what I say is like, I start to see then why I'm glad I don't drink.
Yeah.
Because it starts to get all loud and messy and it just starts to fall apart. The conversations just get so boring as well.
Yeah.
Like,
and it reinforces that you made the right decision. I had one of my lovely group members had a bottomless brunch to go to a couple of weeks ago. She just turned 6 months sober and she was like, oh God, I'm triggered. I might drink at the brunch today. And I said the same thing I just said then. Give it an hour. You wait and you will not once you see what happens. And lo and behold, oh God, yeah, the conversations were boring and repetitive and so on and so forth. And she did amazing. She didn't drink. Because it's the idea of it in your head is more triggering than the actual event when you're there and you get there and you think, oh no, alcohol won't bring anything to this. Actually, I thought I was going to drink on my hen do. My hen do was 8 weeks before my year, and I thought I'm going to drink on that because it's my hen do. I have to. And then when I got there, I was like, I'm not drinking on this. Like, hell no, I'm going to do it and get my year. And I didn't. And you get stronger as you go on. Yeah,
there's a slight. I noticed this the other day because I knew this conversation was coming up. And I was watching, I'm not bringing this up just because it's Ireland, England, but Ireland were playing England in the rugby. If people weren't watching the other day, but what I found interesting, it's always sponsored by Guinness, and you always see the Guinness signs all around the pitch. And in the middle of the pitch, there's always that painted Guinness sign and stuff. But the one that was on the other day was 0.0%. Yeah. And I was watching with a friend and I kind of turned around and said, I didn't notice until about 15 minutes in or something. It's like, I've never seen that before. So the shift that Guinness is doing, and Guinness is obviously a company that doesn't really need to advertise its drink around the world, but the fact that it's gone to that 0.0%, it's great that Guinness are putting that forward.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I know the football was hosting Qatar, which is alcohol free anyway, but it was all zero, like Bud Zero, whatever it was around the stadium. But no, 100%. They were giving out free Guinness Zeros at Paddington train station the other week. I was in London and they had a big crate of them and they were giving them out for free, just the zero one. And I was like, yes, because it just gets people, and it does taste really good. I don't know if you've had the Guinness Zero, but it's spot on. Like,
I've had the Heineken one and it's actually quite nice.
I love the Heineken one. Yeah, the Guinness Zeros just taste like Guinness, but without the hangover, headache, and horrible behaviour. So, yeah, the fact it's actively encouraged now and subtly there on, like you say, on the board and on the screens is amazing.
And that idea as well, because you mentioned it, when you do go into a pub and maybe you feel, oh, look, if I order a Coke and, I might feel a bit left out or something. There is, and I've done it before, gone in and grabbed an Erdinger, the 0% alcohol one, and even if that makes you feel a little, even if it makes you a little bit more at ease with the surroundings you're in, and just because it looks like a beer, well, just like it's like that thing, when you are starting out drinking for the first time and you do find something that you like, and it's the same as those, there's 0% gin. I saw an ad on the TV the other day. There's pretty much everything with 0% now.
Yeah, and like you save so much money in starting. So who gives a shit if you spend £5 on a pint of alcohol-free beer? Because you're not going to drink 10 of them like you would with alcohol. So it doesn't matter. Like some people say, oh, but the alcohol-free stuff's so expensive. Yeah, but they have to still make it. Like Tanqueray Zero is actually more expensive to produce than Tanqueray because they're taking the alcohol out of it. So they're removing it. It's another whole other process. So I don't give a shit paying £13 for a bottle of Tanqueray Zero because I get to have a gin and tonic at Christmas time. And none of the trouble. So I always say to people, like, look at the bigger picture there, because you're going to save so much money. Spend £10 on a fancy mocktail in a restaurant because you're not buying a £40 bottle of wine.
Yeah, and you're not feeling absolutely horrendous afterwards. So how do you feel about alcohol now? Like, being removed from it for almost 4 years, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, like my other half still drinks. He's a very moderate drinker, can take or leave it. So only really drinks on nights out, never drinks in the house. My family all drink moderately, like when we go out for dinners and things. My friends all drink, again, moderately. I really realised, oh, wow, I did take it quite hard. But it doesn't bother me. People can do what they want. If they want my help and or they want my advice, come and talk to me and I'll talk to you about alcohol all day long. But I'm not angry at drinkers. People can do what the hell they want. If they drink a bottle of gin every day and have no repercussions, good for them. That's absolutely fine. I would never do that because, again, I know how it makes me feel inside, but each to their own. But yeah, it really doesn't bother me at all. On my hen do, everyone was drinking and I was actively encouraging down it, because I've still got that person in me. I'm just not going to be downing it myself.
Yeah, I think I'd probably be the same. But so then, like with with kids and stuff, what is the message that you'd like to give? Because obviously you said your partner's a moderate drinker, so it's not like they're going to see any kind of the dark side of alcohol. But would you like to kind of put the point across of will you tell them, I suppose, of what you've been through?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's out there on the internet.
Yeah.
So they'll probably maybe see at some point, and I hope I don't know how it will go down, if they'll be embarrassed or what. I know I was embarrassed. Everyone's embarrassed with their parents when they're teens or whatever, but at the moment they're so little. But no, I'm not ashamed of it or anything. It would be like, yeah, do you know what? It makes you feel like shit. So if you want to drink, that's absolutely fine. Go for it. But I'm here for you when you're hungover and want to talk about it, because it doesn't work long term. I would always encourage them to do what they want. But for example, if my 15-year-old, not that I have a 15-year-old yet, but she will be one day, said to me, can you buy me alcohol? I'll say no. I'm not going to buy you alcohol because you're under 18. But I'm not stupid in that you probably will drink it somewhere. Just let me know how you get on and if you want to talk about it after. So I'll keep it very open with them, but they're going to do what they want at the end of the day.
This is very true. They'll get, like, when I'm sure it was the same for you, Sophie, when you're growing up, you just get it. Like there's many ways to get alcohol. Like when you're a teenager, it's easy.
There's always someone's mum who's happy for you to drink vodka in the house. I mean, like my mum would buy me the 5% stuff like WKDs and Smirnoff Ices, never spirits or anything like that. But we still all drank them. Like if we all pull together and bring all our alcohol, then but I think kids these days aren't drinking as much.
Really?
Yeah. So I hear. I've got ladies in my group with teenagers and they're not into it.
Well, that's encouraging.
Yeah. The kind of binge drinking, like lad mentalities, maybe not so cool anymore. And I'm hoping that it will be the new smoking, long term.
Yeah, I remember, like, and I don't know if you're as old as me, Sophie, but I did in the 90s, the binge drinking lad culture, if you said, was so prevalent, and any band that you liked or looked up to were just like, Oasis were kind of the main one of, I guess, in my age, but they were just getting drunk and having a good time, and it just looked great.
Yeah, so I was in the 90s is when I was like, I was 1990, so I'm 33. Yeah. So in the 90s, I saw the ladette culture evolve. And then as a teenager, I saw like Geordie Shore and Made in Chelsea and The Only Way Is Essex, and all these people just getting drunk on TV and normalizing it for me as well. So it's normal to just go out and get wasted with your friends and do X, Y, Z. But nowadays, I just don't think, like, I feel like a Geordie Shore, if it's still going, would never be what it is now. Like so it was so raw in the early days, and that's when I was like 18. So I was watching it and telling myself, "Oh, this is okay. Look at them; they're all doing it too." But I don't think it would happen anymore.
Which, well, hopefully, it doesn't. But what would you say that the main benefit, and this is a kind of a hard question to answer, I guess, because there's a lot of benefits to being sober. What would you think the main benefit is? So
the main benefit for me, long term, really, is how calm and manageable life is. Life, no matter what's thrown at me, my son's diagnosis, that wasn't an easy thing to go through. Waiting lists, fighting for support for him. I could never have done it if I was drinking. And I still think to this day, if I was drinking, would I even believe he was autistic, or would I be like, he's fine, he's just a bit behind? Like, and I've fought every corner for him to get him the support he needs, and I wouldn't have done that if I was a drinker. So how manageable life is now. It's very calm. There's no chaos. There's no drama. If there is, I'm just hearing about it because it's happening to a third party. I myself am just very calm and, like I say, manageable. And then you've got all the other benefits, and I can just reel them off. my skin's better, my mental health's better, my relationships are better, I've saved money, I've managed to buy a nice house, something I was living paycheck to paycheck before. Like, there's so many benefits, it's unbelievable.
I agree, and it's a strange one to think about now that, you know, I was always thinking about it, you know, always thinking about will I drink, will I not drink, and I think I decided. Well, I didn't say to you, I give up cigarettes on the same day as I give up alcohol. So I mean, you're going to have a mental breakdown after that. It's just, you know, you can't not. But what happened was, I was going through so much kind of turmoil and, you know, anxiety and stuff that I didn't really think so much about the drinking alcohol the cigarettes and alcohol till down the road.
Yeah.
But what's great now is that it's after a few years, it started to leave this whole space in my mind that I could fill with things that were actually enjoyable, things that were positive for me, like music and films and all those kind of things, you know, that were probably get pushed away a little bit. Yeah, the passions. Yeah, exactly. And
that's, you know, a big benefit is time.
Yeah.
You get time back. You waste so much time thinking about drinking. Am I going to drink tonight? Am I not? How far will I take it? Then you drink that night. You don't have time to watch a film, or you do, but you fall asleep.
Yeah.
Get time back. And you almost, I always say this, I don't know if you found this, you become who you were before you ever started drinking. Mm-hmm. Like for me, when I first gave up, I started colouring in. I bought colouring in books and felt it pens, and I used to colour in on an evening, and it felt lovely. It switched my brain off without booze, and it was just really simple, nice activity. I started to read again. I used to read all the time as a kid, and now I read, like, I read 35 books last year. When I was a drinker, I read one a year by the people drunk. Like, you become who you were before, and the real you that was maybe going to come through if you hadn't ever drank throughout your teenage years and your 20s shines.
Absolutely, I agree. So that always leads to the question I ask, leads perfectly to it, really. What do you like to do in your spare time?
So again, something that the old me would never, ever, ever have considered. I run. I love to run.
Me too.
And I hate exercise. Well, I don't hate it now, but I hated it. That's the story I told myself.
Yeah.
I'm shit, I'm fat, I'm overweight, I'm not going to run, no way. And on my year sober, I got tagged in that, like, run 5, donate 5 thing. And I was like, I can't run 5K, but I want to do this. And I wanted to put the selfie up on, Instagram, run 5 thing. And I ran 5K, and it was really bloody hard. It took me over an hour, and I thought, that's embarrassing. I want to get that down. And I got addicted to it. I started running 5K, the same route all the time, until I got it to sub 30. And then I was like, I'm done with that route now. It's this proper ADHD brain, Steve. And I was like, I'm done with that route now. So then I just started running different distances. The longest, I'm not like a marathon runner or anything. The longest I've done is like 11K. But that is one thing that, again, the old me never, ever would have even considered. So running, I've got a Peloton, very lucky to have a Peloton. Again, something I would never have been able to afford if I was drinking, but you have so much savings because you're not blasting it out on alcohol in the pubs and at home all the time. So I love the cycling, and my kids, they take up all my time. So
of course.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask as well. It's funny we say someone who didn't like exercise, but now you've got a Peloton, you're running and everything. It's amazing. It's great. And so, what kind of books do you like to read?
So a whole mixture. I love memoirs, not just quick, actual memoirs. Really, really love hearing different people's stories. Don't have to be celebrities, just anyone's. And any fiction really that's not. I don't like sci-fi or anything like that. Afraid. I don't know if you do. But
no, I don't.
Mysteries, detectives, thrillers, but yeah, any stories really that are good and gripping.
And
there was a good Irish book I read called The Glorious Heresies. I don't know if you've read that.
Oh, I had her on the show. Yeah, I had this amazingly. Yeah. She was brilliant, by the way. The
whole 3 books in about a week because I just loved it so much.
Do you know what was I think I might have muddled this up a little bit, but I'm sure I read The Glorious Heresies first before I spoke to her. But then I actually read the other 2 before I got to actually, interview her. And I had built it because I really love them, obviously, but I built it up in my mind that I was talking to this person I really admired, this great writer. And I don't know why, but I thought I was going to be really nervous and stuff. But as soon as she started talking, I just relaxed. She was so nice. I just got to chill out and stuff. But that's what's really wonderful. Again, like you said, this podcast wouldn't be happening if I didn't give up alcohol. And I've got to talk to some incredibly nice people and people like yourself who are trying to put forward a positive message. And it's very rewarding for me. And it's yet another episode where I've had a really lovely chat with someone who's very caring.
Thank you. And same to you. It's been really nice to meet you. And you think as well, whenever you were in the grips of alcohol and someone said to you, you're going to run a podcast one day and thousands of people are going to listen to it and comment on it and follow you, you'd be like, no way, I can't do that. Alcohol, removing alcohol, you can do anything. That's what I tell people. You can literally do anything. I feel like I can do anything.
Absolutely.
And I never felt like that before.
Sophie, where can people find you?
So on Instagram, at sober_and_happy. And on Facebook, if you want to join my Facebook group, it's the Sober and Happy support group. And you just fill out the questions and wait for an email from me.
Brilliant. Sophie, would you mind sticking with me for 1 minute? I'll close this out, take a quick photo, and we'll be on our way.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much. I just also want to thank the usual suspects, John Francis for doing all the tech side of stuff for me, my mum, my dad, my granddad, Jordan Calvin for the usual reasons. And we're on YouTube. Subscribe if you would. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the podcast platforms that are worth being on, I guess. And thanks to everyone for tuning in today. And once again, Sophie, thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you.
Brilliant. And everyone else, we'll chat to you next week. Take care. Bye.